morning, Will. Thanks for taking part in Hydrogen Free. It's obviously a pleasure to have you part of the series and to get your perspective. I know a lot of people know who you are and what you do and your involvement in the sector, but just for the purpose of the video, could you give us a bit of an overview of your background and the business that you represent?
Yeah, so thanks very much for having me, George. I started off in the energy market quite a long time ago. So it was with Rowe Energy when it first started, and helped build that business up to where it is today. So it's one of the largest retailers in the UK. And one of the things we did there was build the Kaluza platform, which is effectively a billing and CRM system, an optimization platform for retail energy companies to use. So, Octopus Energy, which is where we went to after that, has a platform called Kraken that's the sort of similar to Kaluza. I think they're arch rivals now, or competitors. And we took the idea of starting a hydrogen business to the Octopus Energy team about nearly 2 years ago now.
Okay, fantastic. So in terms of the first question that we do have, there's been a lot of push towards the sector over the past few years. I know it's been around for a number of years now, but what role do you see in hydrogen enabling us globally to reach our net zero targets, would you say?
I think it's important to note that, for me anyway, hydrogen has to be green hydrogen for it to play a role in contributing to net zero. So we don't see a future in grey hydrogen, and especially blue hydrogen as well, because of sort of its feedstock being natural gas. Yeah. In relation to green hydrogen specifically, things have changed a lot recently. So what's happened is, all of a sudden, with the invasion of the Ukraine by Russia, gas prices have spiked around the world, and green hydrogen is now cost competitive with grey and blue hydrogen. Mm-hmm. So it's really kind of made it a sort of really viable option now for a lot of large companies to adopt. And where we see it being used is primarily in applications such as where hydrogen is already used today, so ammonia production or refining processes, or to displace things where electrification can't get to. So, things like passenger transport and domestic heat, we think will go down the battery electric route and heat pumps respectively. But things like HGVs, marine applications, aviation applications, things like that, we see that's where green hydrogen plays a role. Now, whether that be in liquid hydrogen form, gaseous hydrogen form, some sort of combined with, other molecules to make it a more, say, easier vector to carry the energy in, doesn't really matter. The point is you're going to need green hydrogen to sort of decarbonize those sectors, is the way we see it.
Into the next question that we have, and I'm quite interested to get your point, actually, because we've had 20 episodes now of Hydrogen 3, and the challenges that we've seen has been cost. And you mentioned we are getting to a point now where things are developing. So in your opinion, there is a lot of positives, but in the same time, what challenges do you see we face as a sector?
Yes, and look, don't get me wrong, cost is still a challenge, because it's not like we only have to compete with natural gas. Hydrogen needs to compete with things like diesel, and diesel, although relatively expensive, is still relatively cheap compared to, especially on a total cost of ownership basis for an operator. But on a pure fuel basis right now, for things like auxiliary power applications, so, diesel genset replacement or HGVs, the fuel, if it was green hydrogen, is cheaper than the diesel in today's money. So that's, a game changer. And green hydrogen is also cheaper than grey hydrogen. So for feedstocks or where it's being used in other processes, that's great. What we've not got yet, though, is the total cost of ownership piece being necessarily directly competitive, because things like the vehicle capex is high, because they're not got 100 years of development like internal combustion engines, etc. So I think ultimately cost still is a critical piece, but at least now with very high gas prices around the world, it's kind of leaning towards green hydrogen and renewables, which is great, and hopefully that'll help to speed things up in the sector.
And that rolls into the final question that I have, more focused on the business that you represent. Obviously, there was developments with Maximator that have been released quite recently in terms of the electrolyzer developments, but what role are Octopus Hydrogen play in terms of developing the value chain for green hydrogen?
So we've kind of got three things we focus on in terms of like where we trying to play in the value chain. So one is we're a hydrogen developer. So we design, build and operate green hydrogen production facilities, typically of between 10 and 20 megawatts, because that's where we can buy certified products from, that are built on a modular basis rather than doing bespoke engineering work. And we look to provide that hydrogen co-located with renewables, but we don't own the wind or the solar asset, and we'd sell that hydrogen at the gate to people who want to come and collect hydrogen. So that's kind of one of the things we offer to the market, available green hydrogen at the gate. The second is that we can then ourselves take that hydrogen, deliver it to end customers who need it on a sort of hydrogen as a service model. So we'll take responsibility for production, delivery, and refueling. And we can roll that into a sort of zero capex option. So, priced per kilo or price per mile if needs be. So we can do that. And then the third one is we've got a tech offering that we want to offer to the market. So we've been investing really heavily ourselves in building an optimization platform that lets us produce hydrogen at the lowest possible cost. And the trick to producing hydrogen at the lowest possible cost is sourcing abundant, cheap, green electrons. So, you need to qualify for subsidies, which means that your hydrogen is green, and you need to go for the cheapest possible electrons. And our platform kind of handles that. And so the third offering to the market is that we want other people to benefit from that platform on a SaaS basis. So, if you're a hydrogen producer and you're in an integrated energy market and you need to source power and you need to produce that, turn that power into green hydrogen on a cost efficient way, our platform will help people do that. And we think that's a good way to help the market produce more green hydrogen. So we think it's a good thing to offer out to the market.
Okay, fantastic. Is it just sort of UK and Europe that you're looking at, or you're looking at sort of US and Asia? What's the thought process there?
So UK, Europe, US, Australia, and starting to consider Asia, and so North Asia and South Asia as well. But yeah, let's say the focus right now is UK. We've got about 100 megawatts of projects in the pipeline to go live by the end of 24 in the UK, and we need to start accelerating in Europe, Australia, and US. But yeah, watch this space. Not quite there yet to make an announcement on those.
Understood. All right. Well, fantastic. It obviously sounds like super exciting times for Octopus. And as said, we really appreciate you taking part. So we wish you the best for the rest of 2022. Cheers, Will.
Thanks, George.